Hi everyone, it's Addicted to Nature here, and I wanted to do a video on one of the realities of aquascaping, and it's that you're going to get plants that die. Unfortunately, that's the truth. And today I'm going to talk about the common reasons that this happens. Plants melt back, all that fun stuff, and then ways we can get rid of, or at least try to minimize, this damage. So, without further talking, let's get started. The first part that I wanted to talk about is substrate. And actually, we're going to talk about it from the most common to the lesser commons and then maybe the least common ones. One of the most common things is substrate problems. This substrate, you can see, is actually from a bag. It's brand new. It was marketed as being very, very fertile. There's a lot of fertilizer, a lot of nutrients in it, and that was great until you actually put all your plants in it. And then you realize, like, oh my God, all of this fertilizer is burning my plants. And especially because right now I am doing an immerse to set up a dry start, the dry start method. Right? And what that means is that I don't have enough water to pull all of that ammonia out of the soil and into the water column. I have a very slow water line. Oh, where is my, there it is. A very low water line that's just right at the bottom here. And all that water is just sitting in soil, and all of the ammonia is leaching into my soil. So how do I get rid of that? Well, I can't really do much other than drain a little bit of water here every day, maybe add a little bit of water through spraying if I want to do that, right? And it's hard for dry starts to do this, but if I had actually filled this up with water, I could do water changes, maybe bring it down to here every day, and then let it fill back up, and then wait a day, come down, do this up and down, up and down, up and down for about a week or two. All right, number two, it's just going to be that these plants went through shock when I transplanted them. So maybe these guys were growing in water, and then suddenly I put them through an immersed setup where half of it was in the water and the other half was in air, and then they were suddenly like, oh my God, I can't breathe, or there's too much carbon dioxide, there's not enough moisture. What am I doing? I need to start, I'm dying because I can't breathe. I can't cope with the change in environment. And that's very normal. You're just going to have that happen to you, right? There's a lot of videos out there where people put in their substrate, they put in their hardscape, they plant everything, and then the next frame is going to be a beautiful, beautiful aquascape. That doesn't happen. There's a lot of time in between where they're tweaking setups, they're changing out, they're replanting, they're spending a lot more money trying to get the plants to work, right? So like I said, the second thing is going to be the difference or the shock of transplanting. And how do you get rid of that? You're just going to have to keep replanting. It might just be that sometimes this one plant doesn't do well in your aquarium. You might have to switch it off. For example, these are dwarf baby tears. They're notorious in the hobby for dying and just being a pain in the butt to ever grow, right? You can have high light, good fertilization, good CO2 levels, and they're still going to die on you for no apparent reason. There's always a reason. It's just you probably might not be able to find out why before they die off on you. Which leads me to my third point. It might just be the species that isn't fit for that certain spot in your aquarium. For example, over here, I had a lot of green dwarf baby tears. You can't see that now because they're all melted back and all brown, but I had a lot on the first day I planted them. This has been about a week or so. Anyways, on that side, however, you could still see that this is still green. This is great. I'm gonna pan the camera over a little bit. That's a lot of green. That's great. It's still dwarf baby tears, but somehow the one on the left is dying off. The one on the right is still doing okay. The guys back here are doing fine. There's a little bit of dead ones here on this side, but it might just be because of that microenvironment. Maybe this part didn't have enough light. Maybe this part had too much water. We don't know. It's just the different spot in your aquarium might not be the best place for your plant. Over here, you could see that I had a lot of substrate. You can't see that anymore because it's all brown. But if I were to zoom in, you can see that this is actually a lot of substrate. Zoom in. You can see that right now. I'm gonna put you guys back on the tripod. It's gonna be a little bit of a shake. All right, so over here, this substrate is green. It's still fine, but it's the same plant, it's the same tank, same conditions, might just be the micro environment. And over here, I have a lot of Anubias. On the contrary, with the dwarf baby tears, the Anubias are famous, are notorious in the hobby for never dying off. They're just not, you can't kill them. You can neglect them. I've had these for 2 years. I've never fertilized them before. They're growing fine, right? And they were in the water before I put them in. They're not browning at all. And then if you take a look over here, this is the Christmas moss and the flame moss on this rock here. They're not green anymore, but if you come and take a look at this and over here, this is Java moss. A lot of topo on the top here, and they're still fine. It's fine. It's very, very green. They're great. It's doing great. It's just this different species that isn't used to this environment. It's plants, just like animals, are different, right? So we talked about substrate. We talked about the microenvironment. We talked about the different plant species. What else can be the problem? So for example, for the dry start method, maybe this is not as big of a problem if you do this like in an immersed setup with water, is that I covered the top with cling wrap, with plastic wrap, right? What that does is it creates a greenhouse effect. Moisture can't get out, neither can heat, right? It's not as good at evaporating. Every time water evaporates, heat leaves. If water can't evaporate, heat is trapped. That's the idea there, right? And so we're gonna, the temperature of this tank is going to shoot up. If you stick your hand in, you can actually feel a difference in temperature. It's very, very warm. And these plants might not be used to that, right? You have to think about stuff like that. So how do I get rid of that problem? Well, I can leave a little hole at the top of the plastic wrap. How do I get rid of the microenvironment? I might just let, the dwarf baby tears grow in here, maybe try a different low light plant on this side. How do I get rid of the substrate problem? I talked about flooding the tank, bringing it back down, flooding it, bringing it back down. And what else can I, you just have to keep trying. You're gonna lose some money, you're gonna lose some plants, but that's just part of aquascaping. Lastly, what else is a problem? Well, if I were to take a look at the top level here, almost about this line and above, it's very, very dry. I have to actually spray them, mist this with water. And before I started talking, I actually took a spray bottle and sprayed the whole thing so that it wouldn't dry out on me in the middle of filming. But every day I have to film, or I have to spray the top so that it wouldn't dry out. I don't have any problem down here because of the water. And so how do I actually deal with that? There's nothing else than just spraying it with water every day before you flood the tank. You're just gonna have to, that's just something that you have to do. And say you forgot one day or maybe 2 days in a row. Maybe you got busy, maybe you got home from work and you were tired and you wanted to go watch TV. Then the plants on top are gonna dry out, they're gonna die, you're gonna have to replant them. And so it's stuff like, it takes a lot of care just to get one tank going, right? And so you have to consider all of these options before you say like, okay, well, this didn't work, I'm gonna tear it down and try it again. And then the next time you do it, it's the exact same problem because you're still, putting all of the highlight plants down in the low light area, or maybe you're still forgetting about spraying everything. It's stuff like that. You gotta remember, you gotta consider all your options before you say, okay, I failed. Because there's always time to fix. There's always time to redo something and tweak something before you redo it. That's what I mean. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about in the next video that I show is that, and here's a sneak peek, I guess, is that I'm gonna try something new. It's gonna be called a rooting hormone. And before I speak too much about that, it's a video all by itself, and it's essentially one of the ways I'm gonna try to save a little bit of my dwarf baby tears, because rooting hormone is really useful in gardening, but people don't use it in aquascape, which I don't understand why. It's going to work, but I don't know why people don't use it. All right, so that's about it for today. If you have any questions in the comments, just shoot them at me. I always try to remember to respond in a timely fashion. And if you like this video, if you like what I'm talking about, go ahead, click the subscribe button if you want. It's okay if you don't. Tell me you don't like it. Tell me what you want to see more of, and I'll be sure to address that in the next video. All right, Addicted to Nature out. I'm gonna go ahead and get to cleaning up this tank, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys all for watching.